All right, guys, I need you to really sit with me on this one because what's coming out of Cleveland right now is absolutely insane. I'm telling you, this might be one of the wildest quarterback situations we've seen in the NFL in a long time. I mean it. And trust me, that's not just hyperbole for clicks. We're not talking about some preseason fluff story. We're talking about something that might shake the entire foundation of what we expect from an NFL roster. So, Peter Schrager, one of the most connected guys in the NFL, goes on the Pat McAfee show and drops what I can only describe as a nuke. On the Browns quarterback room, I was watching it in real time, and as soon as he said it, I just sat there for a second like, wait, did he actually just say that? Because what he laid out? Going to be huge. Let me paint the full picture here. We all know the Browns had one of the most roller coaster quarterback seasons last year. Deshaun Watson goes down. Chaos. P.J. Walker steps in, then Dorian Thompson-Robinson. But then Joe Flacco walks into that locker room, and everything changes. Ship and literally saves the Browns' season. Not only does he get them to the playoffs, he earns Comeback Player of the Year honors. That wasn't just a cute little storyline. That was legit. That was real football magic, so please take 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button.
Drop the video.
And leave your thoughts in the comments.
Thank you.
For your support. So yeah, Cleveland brings Flacco back this offseason. And most of us, myself included, thought, okay, they're locking in their veteran insurance policy. Makes perfect sense. Then boom, they go out and trade for Kenny Pickett. And look, I know Pickett didn't exactly light it up in Pittsburgh, but he's a former first-round pick. He's got experience. He's still young. That's not just some camp body. That's a guy they're investing in. So you've already got a quarterback room with Deshaun Watson. It's Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. That's 3 quarterbacks with real NFL starts under their belt. That should have been it, right? Nope, not even close. Then comes the draft, and Cleveland decides to throw gasoline on the fire. They go out and grab 2 quarterbacks. Dillon Gabriel. Sure, it's intriguing. He's got talent. By storm last season with Colorado, the guy who had the entire country watching a 1-11 team just to see what he'd do next. And somehow, someway, Sheddeur falls to the 5th round. I mean, I was watching that draft thinking there was no way this guy makes it past day 2, but he slides all the way into day 3, and Cleveland jumps on him like sharks to blood in the water. Now here's where it gets spicy. Peter Schrager says he's hearing from inside the Browns facility that Sheddeur is already making waves. Not just, hey, the rookie looks good type buzz. No, this is serious buzz. Charts. That makes veterans start wondering if their job is actually secure. Schrager says flat out, he would be surprised if both Flacco and Pickett are still on the roster come Week 1. Let that sink in for a second. You've got a guy who just won Comeback Player of the Year, a guy who went in the 1st round, and Schrager is saying one of them might not even make it to the regular season. And the reason? A rookie? 5th round rookie? Now I know there are people saying, okay, relax, it's OTAs. And yes, I get that. This is all happening in shorts. And helmets, no pads. But the buzz is real when a guy like Kevin Stefanski, who we all know, doesn't just throw around praise for fun starts talking positively about a rookie like Shedeur Sanders. Unusual is going on. A.J. Hawk even floated the idea that maybe Cleveland just keeps all 4 quarterbacks, which is borderline unthinkable. I mean, how many teams carry 4 QBs into the regular season? It never happens. You're lucky to see 3. Schrager shot that down. Said no. He thinks they go forward with 1 veteran, plus Gabriel and Sanders. That means one of those veterans is out, gone, probably before Week 1. And honestly, if you're asking me who it's going to be, I think it might actually be Kenny Pickett. Now let's talk about why. Came out and said teams didn't grade him inside the top 5 rounds. But then he added the real reason, the unspoken reason. Deion Sanders. Teams weren't just evaluating Sheddeur. They were evaluating the baggage that might come with him. The interviews at the combine, the attitude. That's what scared teams off. Jonathan Jones from CBS broke it down even more. He said teams thought Sheddeur was sandbagging interviews, basically mailing it in during the process. But let's be honest here. The kid knew his value. He knew what he was capable of. And maybe, just maybe, he didn't want to land somewhere where he'd be stashed as QB3, behind a washed-up vet. But the Browns, they didn't care about any of that noise. GM Andrew Berry came out and said they had zero plans to draft 2 quarterbacks. But when Sanders was still sitting there in the 5th, heard it from multiple sources, coaches, players, even folks in the front office, there's a genuine belief that this kid has it. It's not just the tools, not just the name, but the mental makeup to handle an NFL huddle. And yeah, he's had some hiccups. 2 speeding citations, not great. That's fair criticism, but former Browns coach Eric Mangini came out and defended him, saying, look, this is a kid who's never been outside his dad's shadow. Deion was his coach at every level. This is the first time he's on his own. Of course he's going to make a few mistakes, and honestly, if the Browns can survive the legal circus that came with their QB room over the past few years, I think they can handle a couple traffic tickets. The most important part? Shedder owned it. He went on social media and said, yeah, I messed up. I'm learning, and that's what you want to see. That's maturity. That's a guy who's not afraid to grow in the public eye. So now, the Browns are looking at a quarterback room that could shake up the league. You've got Joe Flacco, the aging gunslinger who still has magic in his arm. You've got Kenny Pickett, the young guy looking to reboot his career after the Steelers bailed on him. You've got Dylan Gabriel, the unknown, the wild card. And then you've got Shedeur Sanders, the lightning rod, the guy who might be about to force this entire room into a new era. And if what we're hearing is even halfway true, then the Browns are about to do something that's not just unconventional, it's historic. So I want to hear from you guys. Do you actually think the Browns will cut or trade one of these vets before week 1? Is Shedeur Sanders really the guy to push them out? Or is this just off-season noise? Hit the comments. Tell me what you think, because I've got a feeling this is just the beginning of a much bigger storm coming out of Cleveland. So I was listening to Jeremy Fowler recently. He made an appearance on a radio show, and he said something that really stuck with me. He was talking about how the Browns are approaching their quarterback room, and the way he put it was actually kind of brilliant. He said, they look at quarterback pieces like currency and value. That's when it hit me. The Browns aren't just collecting quarterbacks like trading cards. They're thinking like investors. Like Jeem is playing chess while everyone else is stuck playing checkers. Think about it. Injuries are a part of life in the NFL. It's not a matter of if someone goes down during training camp or the preseason, ... It's when. And when that happens, guess who's in the driver's seat? The team with an extra quarterback or 2 who's ready to go. Fowler even mentioned that the Browns might be thinking about trading one of these guys if the right situation pops up. Maybe it's Pickett. Maybe it's even one of the rookies. But the key here is flexibility, as the Browns are building leverage. So, please take 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Now, let me be clear. They're not doing this randomly. This isn't a team that's just hoarding quarterbacks. For no reason, they're thinking ahead. They're anticipating the chaos of the season. They're preparing themselves to be in a position of strength when another team finds themselves desperate. But the real intrigue here is in the numbers, because as much as you might want to keep for quarterbacks, that's just not practical. In today's NFL, most teams don't even keep 3 on the active roster, so somebody's getting cut, somebody's getting moved. The only question is, who? And that's where Peter Schrager's report really throws gasoline on this fire. He suggested that the Browns might be planning to keep just 1 veteran and then roll into the season with both Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Shedeur Sanders. Now that's bold. Oh, that's not just tweaking your quarterback room, that's a full-blown philosophical shift. Because think about what that means. If that's true, then the Browns are looking to move on from either Joe Flacco, who literally just won Comeback Player of the Year not long ago, or Kenny Pickett, a former first-round pick who, let's be honest, still has plenty of football left in him. These aren't guys you just toss aside unless you're absolutely convinced you've got something special in the pipeline, and maybe, ... just maybe, they think that something special is Shedeur Sanders. Now, I know some people are going to scoff at that idea. They're going to say, come on, he's just a rookie. It was a day 3 pick. He hasn't played a single NFL snap yet. I want to challenge that mindset, because what if the Browns aren't looking at him based on where he was drafted? What if they're looking at what he brings, his poise, his mechanics, his leadership, and thinking, this guy could actually be our future. And I know the speeding citations came up recently and made a few headlines, but weirdly enough, I think those actually help his case in a strange way. Hear me out. They show he's not some media robot. He's human. He made a mistake, but he owned it. And in a league where accountability matters, where character issues can derail your entire career, being the kind of guy who takes responsibility and learns from it, that's a good look. And let's not dance around the elephant in the room here. His dad is Deion Sanders, prime time, one of the most electrifying players in NFL history. And yeah, some front offices might see that as baggage, but honestly, the Browns might see that as a bonus. Because when your dad is a Hall of Famer who literally lives football, who's been around locker rooms and media pressure and every kind of spotlight you can imagine, that's not a liability. It's mentorship. It's built-in support. That's football DNA, and if there's one franchise that isn't afraid to go against the grain, it's Cleveland. Let's not forget, this is the same organization that took on the Deshaun Watson situation head-on. They made one of the riskiest trades in modern NFL history because they believed the upside was worth it. So if they think Sanders has something, that's worth investing in, even if it means moving off proven veterans, I'm telling you. They're not going to hesitate. That's why training camp is going to be absolute must-see TV this year. You've got 4 legitimate quarterbacks, not just practice squad guys. It's real NFL players competing for what's likely to be 3 roster spots. Every one of them is playing for their future. Whether it's Flacco proving he's still got it, Pickett trying to reclaim his first-round shine, or Sanders showing that he's more than just Deion's kid, the pressure is going to be insane. Every throw, every read, every snap, it's all going to matter. But here's what makes this even more interesting. It's not just about talent. It's about timing. It's about what kind of team the Browns want to be moving forward. Are they going to stick with what's safe and proven? Or are they going to take a gamble and build around a guy they believe in, even if the rest of the league isn't there yet? If they choose Sanders, they're making a statement. They're saying, we trust our scouts. We believe in development. And we're willing to take risks if we think the reward is worth it. And if they're right, Sanders turns into a real starter, and they end up looking smart for keeping him over guys with more experience. You better believe other teams are going to start copying that blueprint. The NFL is a copycat league. Success rewrites the rules. So what am I watching for as this story unfolds? First, how does Sanders perform in training camp and preseason games? If he looks confident, composed, and shows he can hang, it makes the case for keeping him way stronger. Second, what's the market look like for Flacco and Pickett? If another team loses a QB and comes calling with a serious offer, Cleveland might find themselves in a position to make a smart trade and gain even more value from this whole thing. And third, and maybe most important, how does Sanders handle the spotlight? Not the media stuff, not the speeding tickets. I mean the real pressure. The pressure of being in an NFL camp, fighting for your job, trying to carve out your place on a team that might be betting the future on you. That's the test. That's where we find out who he really is. To me, this is one of the most compelling storylines heading into the 2025 season because it cuts against everything we usually expect from the NFL. Rookies don't beat out veterans. This early, teams don't invest this heavily in 4 quarterbacks. But that's exactly what makes the Browns so fascinating right now. They're rewriting the playbook. They're taking calculated risks. Depending on how this plays out, they're either going to look like absolute geniuses, or it's going to blow up spectacularly in their face. So I want to know what you think. Are the Browns out of their minds for even thinking about moving on from Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett? Or are they ahead of the curve? Are they seeing something in Shedder Sanders the rest of the league is missing? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep up with these kinds of deep dive NFL stories that go beyond the surface. Because this quarterback battle in Cleveland, it's not just about who starts. It might just be about the future of how teams build rosters in the modern NFL. Let's see if the Browns are playing for D chess or just rolling the dice. Thanks for watching, and see you next one.